There's just some super chats here. First one here says that Spurs are starving for trophies, but don't compare with Newcastle when they haven't won anything for 70 years, Steve. But you were good tonight.
Yeah. Tonali, 2 goals, brilliant. 2 Italians performing for different clubs tonight in England. That's cool. We're in good form, but this is where I get nervous with Newcastle. It's because then I start trusting them, and then they do some nonsense. So, look, hopefully this good form continues into Ipswich on Saturday, and we can do something in the Carabao. But we haven't won anything since 1956, so we're pretty desperate. So Tottenham,
1956.
Yeah, FA Cup.
Bro, that was the year my father was born.
Yeah, none of us was alive.
Yeah, that was the year after my dad was born. That happened. It's crazy. There are people. Sorry,
go on, Terrace.
No, you go, bro.
No, I was gonna say no one's gonna want to rock up to St. James's Park, especially considering the facts. Like, for a 2-legged tie. I know you're putting your hand up, but to be fair, you do.
I don't care.
Like, you don't find it easy up there. We saw in the last.
We haven't beaten Liverpool at Anfield since like the 80s. So like in any competition.
But you could almost argue though. You could argue that's why you should get them, because at some point that record's got to go, and maybe against you, Liverpool don't play their full strength team. If they get Man United, if they get Arsenal, maybe it gets Tottenham, they rotate a bit as well. If they get Man United or Arsenal, Liverpool go full strength. They play Newcastle, they'll play a stronger team than today, but they won't be playing their first team again. And I don't mean that disrespectfully.
Also, it also depends what order the legs are in. If it's St. James Park first, they might have to play a stronger team just to keep it.
But even if we lose at St. James Park 2-0, I'd still back us to go through it.
I would too.
Ask him about Anfield; he'll tell you. Last season we had 7.8 xG, highest xG recorded ever against Newcastle,
and that was with
it's this. I love this. Arsenal fans, I know people don't know this. I don't even hate Arsenal. Wallahi, I don't hate Arsenal. I don't. You're not my rival. I have nothing against you. You're lucky me and you share the same mic. But do not speak to me about no one would want to draw Newcastle. I'm not worried about any team in this competition. I just don't want Arsenal right now, because I know that the Carabao Cup are going to do that on purpose to try milk the shit out of the money. And then I promise you right now, I'll make any bet with anyone. I'm willing to make any bet that they're going to put Liverpool-Arsenal semi-final just to squeeze the shit out of the money. The only other possibility is if Spurs win tomorrow, they're going to try to do North London Derby in the semi-final. So regardless, in my opinion, you guys are screwed. Like, Arsenal is the club screwed in this situation because they're going to milk it for money. I have no problem playing Newcastle. I have no problem playing Spurs. I have no problem playing Man United. Arsenal, it's not like I have a problem, but it's just the fact that it's too early for me. Like, even in the semis, I'm not trying to see them now. Like, you go handle Spurs, whatever.
Hussam, do you want so you won the Carabao Cup this season? You really want the trophy?
I want to win every trophy, mate, but I don't think we're capable of it.
But so I'll say this. Right, one thing I do agree with is that I do believe that you guys are likely to get Arsenal in the next round, because this is why. Because if you think about it, if Tottenham play Newcastle in the semi-final, let's say Tottenham win, we could potentially see a North London derby in the Carabao Cup final. That's going to be a lot of money down there. So at the end of the day, I feel like they're kind of setting it up for that also.
I hear you.
Policeman.
I
want to be a freaking policeman on that day for Arsenal.
James here says, Terry, why did you go so hard for Arsenal, you complete effing bozo? And this is the thing, it's not about going hard for Arsenal. You interpret it that way, and I don't mean to be rude, but you did swear at me. It's because you either lack intelligence or you're so full of hate for Arsenal that your mind cannot comprehend logic. I am not saying that Arsenal didn't get a fortuitous decision tonight that should have been offside. I am looking at everybody else, though, who, when football didn't have VAR, and even now in this era where it exists, there are certain competitions, early FA Cup rounds, early Carabao Cup rounds, where it doesn't exist. Most of our teams over the last 2, 3, 4 seasons have had goals that have stood in this way. The reason why I'm not going to call it out like some rivals are doing is we've all benefited from them. And when we do, we all sit there and laugh and say it's okay, it's a refereeing error. But yet for some reason, people want to go in on Arsenal like they have cheated, like they have paid referees. That's what I find. And if your team was to get, if Man United tomorrow night score a goal, the few yards that's like Jesus's, I'm just going to say, yeah, I know it was offside, but there's nothing that could be done about it. And I'm just going to get on with it. So it's not about Arsenal. It's about the boring, woeful, tired, overly milked banter that people are throwing their way. Oh, they robbed Palace tonight. Well, they didn't rob Palace tonight. No one robbed Palace tonight. And Sam, I know he's gone now, but there's been multiple. I don't need to go back to 2005 for goals. I remember a really famous one when they were talking about bringing VAR in. Benteke scored against Bournemouth. I remember it like it was yesterday. This was 2015 or 16. And it should have been ruled out as offside. Did any Liverpool fans say let's give the points back or let's condemn? No one did back then because that was the way football was. And I just sort of feel that it's just boring. It's not about defending Arsenal. It's just about having a grown-up conversation.
Yeah, Terry, you need to get.
I think we're going to have it against United as well, aren't we?
Sorry, mate.
In the FA Cups. No, I was saying I think we're going to have the same thing against United in the FA Cup, right? In the fourth round, they don't do VAR.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, the VAR doesn't exist because I think it's because they can't have it at all the grounds. So
yeah,
which is rubbish, by the way. They should be able to have VAR in every football match in the world with all the money FIFA has.
See, that's the point I wanted to basically get into. My thing is, right, if they're gonna have the VAR in the semifinals, it makes no sense to just bring it into the semifinals. If we're gonna have VAR in the Carabao Cup, we gotta have it in every single game, because like in today's occasion, because just like today's occasion, you're seeing how basically not having VAR has actually affected a team in the Carabao Cup today, right? Maybe even two teams, because we're talking about Liverpool could have potentially had a red card if probably VAR was around. Who knows, right? And basically, I feel like you either have it in the competition or you don't have it in the competition at all. You understand what I'm saying? So if they don't have it in the competition at all, people can then say, well, the VAR is not in the Carabao Cup. But then if it's in the semifinals, everyone is going to go, well, why do we have it in the semifinals but not in the quarterfinals? Because the quarterfinals is just as important.
I completely agree with you. The area where I would defend PGMOL is the same very people that I see in my comments that say it should go and it's bad for football are the same people tonight moaning that it isn't in play because it could have potentially damaged Arsenal. Now, I think it should exist. It just needs to be operated better.
There's nothing wrong with VAR, Terry. Terry, let me be clear. VAR is not the problem. You know what the problem is? It's the people who run VAR. VAR is just a technology. It's just there to show you what is right there. Exactly. Yeah. It's just there to show you what you need to see. At the end of the day, whatever decision you make, it's on you. And I feel like the blame should go on the people who actually make
we all know, us as football fans, on Sunday, when Ruben Diaz made that tackle on Højlund, in real time it looked a foul. I think all of us, whether people want to admit it or not, we all looked at it, and I guarantee that everyone on this panel and 90% of the audience watching right now went penalty, and then went, oh, not checked it. So that's where we all get annoyed, that we look at these replays. We're not even qualified referees, and the amount of times you look at a foul and you go, oh, it's a stonewaller, or you go, oh, there was no contact, and then they don't overturn or change a decision, and you think, that makes zero sense, because I now need to understand why it isn't a clear and obvious error. I want to know what you have said or what you did see that's made you think absolutely not. So, no, I agree with you. It's the people running it.
And the irony is they'll go and double check the handball against, was it Bournemouth versus West Ham the other day about 10 times and award a penalty.
It's
and you're looking at two examples.
The Man United West Ham, they're coming together. Again, when you get Liverpool fans in my DMs, on my shows going, Terry, I'm a Liverpool fan, I hate you guys, I can't believe that was given. That's when there's an issue. Tonight's decisions were wrong, but I can understand why they were given. It's real time, and in real time, being on pitch level, of course you're going to miss loads of things. You can understand that they're human. We shouldn't be seeing the volume of mistakes that we do with camera angles and slow motion. Let's finish off some of these super chats here, guys. This says, is Martin Odegaard important to Arsenal as Mohamed Salah is important to Liverpool?
I'd say that's more Saka than Odegaard.
Saka.
Saka.
Sorry, already done this one here. We're through. Who cares? Give me Tottenham or Man United. Doesn't matter. Please, ya Allah, not Newcastle.
Not Newcastle.
Terry, why? Thierry. Why have you not mentioned the Pereira straight red on Gravenberch? we didn't discuss that on Sunday's show, nor did the Liverpool fans, to be fair. It's come up on conversation since. I've watched it back. You've said you think he's clearly trying to injure him. I thought it was an accident, personally, in my opinion. What I did call out, though, Dynamo, if you go back and watch the content, is I cannot understand why Diop should have been sent off for me. That, for me, was a straight red card. But the reason why I've not been able to react to anything since, it's not even been brought up on Ref Watch. So there isn't any clip for me to react to talk about it. But I brought it up on the match reaction show, my friend. So I am consistent. But if the PGMOL don't speak about it and they don't put out the footage and the content, I can't react to it because there's nothing there. I can't go and strip the video from anywhere either. It's not anywhere for me to get it. So they didn't even show that replay on any of the match of the days or anything. That tackle was just gone, and no one seems to be talking about it. That was atrocious.
Exactly.
The offside goal is why VAR is vital, and people keep complaining, but people aren't complaining VAR exists. And most of the time, the offside is given correctly. People are moaning about the inconsistency on the subjective decisions, and we saw it with Man United again. When Dermot Gallagher, who is backing his mates at PGMOL, no, I thought Højlund went down too easy. And in saying that, the year earlier, when Rodri goes down after getting a little tug on his shirt, they gave that as an example. And you look at those two examples and think, well, everything you've said about why Højlund's wasn't is the opposite to what you said about Rodri's. That is an inconsistency. And I don't care about the word subjectivity when it comes to that. It's so far apart for not a similar foul, but the way in which two players go down. I need to understand why it's so different.
It's a close shot, isn't it? So you think like refereeing decisions at the moment, like in terms of how they look after each other, it's like there's no objectiveness in how they look at it. Everyone is trying to look out for their mates. And
the only one who does,
basically.
The only one who doesn't is Keith Hackett, and that's because Keith Hackett doesn't work with any of them anymore. Yeah, and the rest of them, and you know that Keith Hackett is the one that none of the mainstream media invite onto anything. It's funny that, isn't it? Funny. Terry, it's his second goal for Palace. Fair enough. Thank you, Andre. That's Eddie Nketiah. Liverpool undefeated for 21 games now. Scary times. Absolutely. Red card on Kwanzaa from a Liverpool fan. Big up yourself for being honest, my friend. I appreciate that.
Hey, Hussam learned, man.
Southampton goal. Ref didn't stop the ball. Endo headshot. I don't know what that means.
Yeah, I don't get it.
So I don't even understand.